Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside Plainmoor. We hope you're all keeping safe and well as usual. Well, without further ado then, let's catch up with the gaffer and see what he's had to say this week. Well, good afternoon, Gary. Has it been a good week for you?
It's been okay. The highlight probably was I asked my missus to give me a haircut, and I said, could you make it look like Dominic Mees? And she did a good job. Actually, I think she thought I was a sheep. She went at me with the old shears and all that. And I was getting a bit panicky. There was a few tufts of hair on the floor, but when she grabbed me by the feet and spun me over, I got a little bit worried. But does this go out after 10 o'clock or what?
Well, I think we're all right with the watershed, but I'm still trying to keep hold of any of the tufts that I have got left.
Looking good, mate. At least you've kept it tidy.
Well, just as we were coming on air, of course, we have had a recent announcement from League Two, from the EFL, and it appears that the League Two is not going to continue. That it looks like they might be going down the points per game path or anything like that. I don't know if you've got an opinion on that, Gary, or what you can tell us about. Are we even at a stage yet where you can say that it has any implications for us as a National League club?
Well, I can only say sort of what I've said all along, that we have to wait for everybody else's decisions, and that's right. That's what we should do. But we did jump in very, very early, and stop our season. Now, obviously, we didn't know how it was going to pan out at that time. But what it does seem at the moment is it looks to me like maybe the Premier League and the Championship are going to play, if at all possible, because it's safe to do so. The second division have actually voted to basically cancel the season, other than for the playoffs. No relegation. That's what. There's meetings on meetings at the moment, isn't it? So we'll know a little bit more come Monday. But I think it's going to be still teams going up from the second division, but no relegation. And we're just waiting now to see whether there'll be playoffs. I think in the second division. But the fact that they've put a marker and a full stop on Stephen is coming down mean that, is it likely that we'll get two going up now? Could it only be one? Could a team like Bury maybe go up, and maybe they'll sort out the void by putting Bury in our league? Who knows? So we really don't know for sure until they all meet up. The EFL have got to meet again. The FA have got to meet again. The first division they've obviously had a very big meeting today. That people obviously, or may have got upset with other people. Some people want to play the games if it's all possible. Other people want it null and void. But that's probably going to be a vote in the end anyway. And there's probably more teams that in the first division that don't want playoffs than do. So it's a real strange one, and it's still very much all sort of up in the air. The positive side of it, of course, is that at least people have started talking about the possibility and the hope. The word I've used a lot in the last 8 weeks, and the hope of playing football. And as the virus now is coming down, it's probably not quite down far enough, but they're just looking at maybe playing the games in the middle of June onwards, and hopefully it will be safe-ish to play. So that's where we are. I'm a bit disappointed that we're sort of like, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see whether the National League have kept up with the Football League and have given our opinions. And if only one goes up, then teams like Harrogate and playoff teams are going to be disappointed that they haven't had playoffs. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out for everybody. But there's meetings on meetings at the moment, and we won't know until early next week.
Yes, there's still a lot to be decided now. Ironically, I was about to say that there hadn't been many developments actually with regards to the National League over the past 7 days. We do continue to hear suggestions from various different parties, though. Some radical ideas being put forward, some not so much so. There's been calls for things, everything from wage caps to regionalising the lower leagues. Do you have any personal, individual views on those at all?
Not messing about with it. I think it would work if, you know, the way it is at the moment, everybody seems to think that it's fair. I mean, if you start regionalising, for instance, at our level, then you're going to have full-time teams with part-time teams to make up the south, and you're going to have the same in the north. If we're going to try to keep on the shirt tails of the Football League, then we've got to keep it as it is and keep fighting to be a part. You know, we are a part of their promotion, so we've got to keep that, not lose that, and keep adding to it. And then, you know, also, I think it works fine that you've got the Conference South at the moment. They're happy because some of them, you know, it's not many full-time, but most of them are part-time. Same as the North. Some of them are full-time, some are part-time. And it's good for those teams to, you know, come out of those leagues and join a National League. Now, you know, my thoughts are that the National League now shouldn't be called, certainly the teams that are in it, are not non-league. No. You know what I mean? You know, non-league has got a little bit of, you know, nobody likes saying non-league. Yeah, we're in non-league, because there's some big teams now in our league, and there's a lot of stakes to get, you know, straight back. So it would be beneficial financially and, you know, as a child to be part of the Football League. But that's, you know, I've asked for that and spoken, you know, tried to put my views, but that doesn't seem to be getting any nearer. But we certainly don't want to go further away. That's the thing about regionalising, say, the National League or even the second division. You know, that will water everything down, in my opinion. I know there's finances, but, you know, people have always found finances every year. There's only one club gone out of the leagues over the last, you know, so many years. So, you know, if we're in football and you're going well and you have a good year and you get a promotion, then you get the crowds, you get the sponsors, you get, you know, we've got to keep going forward. We must keep going forward and not start, you know, looking backwards. Otherwise, as I said, we've watered it down.
It's an interesting point that you make there, Gary, because there have been the Elite 92 Premier League and Football League clubs now for a number of years, you know, decades. But professional clubs have arisen, you know, tenfold in football in all the years that have passed. But obviously, it still has stuck at that 92, isn't it?
It has stuck at that 92. But as the Premiership has become a European, very much a European world league, you know, the players that come into it, the chairmen that are in it, the owners that are in it. The Championship is really a Premier League 2, you know, like a Division 2, if you like. So everything has actually dropped down a little bit. Players that might have played in the Premiership, English players, are now probably in the Championship and First Division because of the influx of foreign lads, which is great because our Premier League is the best in the world, without a doubt. And we need to keep that structure going. So what happens is the Notts Counties of this world, Torquays, if you like, the Halifaxes, the Chesterfields, you know, the Wrexhams, the teams that have been in the league. And unfortunately, I mean, you know how long it's been for Halifax to get back in the league or Wrexham to get back in the league. So it is a competitive, and I'm sure there's 10 other teams I could have mentioned. So for me, teams like, let's take us out of it for the moment, and teams like Notts County, Wrexham, they're all full-time. Halifax, they're not non-league, and they're certainly not part-time. You know, so for me, it'd be nice to just add that to the Football League and go from there. So, as I said before, you know, I'm championing everyone. I'm trying to get us all promoted by being a third division in the Football League. But, you know, I think there'd have to be about 57 more meetings to get anywhere near that sort of thinking.
Well, we're probably getting there, to be fair. But of course, Gary,
it was 58 last week, so we are getting there, mate. Thanks.
But of course, Gary, you remember a time where there was only one club that went up from the National League, wasn't it? You had to win the championship, which you did with Yeovil and with Cheltenham. There were no playoffs. Well,
the year before that, when I first went to Yeovil, in my first year, we won the FA Trophy. Thanks for asking. But we also came second that year to Boston, and obviously unlucky we've come second. So we didn't go up in that first year. And you know, over the time, the National League was able to get, you know, a little bit more stronger, and get 2 promoted, which was great because then that gave us the playoffs and everything. But many years ago, I think Yeovil won the league maybe 4 or 5 times. I can't remember in what era, but were never voted in. You had to be voted in. You know, you couldn't get an automatic promotion. You had to be voted in, and Yeovil missed out a few times on that. But so times are changing, and have changed. But we've got to sort of like a little bit of a brick wall at the moment as a National League, and I'd love us to knock that wall down and get a little bit further into the Football League.
Well, like you say, there's a lot of things that are up in the air. From the club's perspective, is it just a case of us concentrating on what our own matters, what we can sort out, and leaving the governing bodies to make their own decisions? It must be very frustrating, though, but is that all that we can do really at the moment?
Well, it is, because, you know, yes, people get, you know, we've been asked for our opinions. You know, we was asked to vote at one point, but, you know, as you can see, the real questions and the real answers are going to come from, as we said in our last meeting, the government first, to allow us to play if it's safe to play, then the Premier League. This is in order of importance: government, Premier League, obviously Championship, First Division, Second Division, and then non-league, National League, and then the rest of the league. So, there's going to be, you're never going to please everybody all of the time. We know that, and it must have been a nightmare for the people that run these leagues, the EFL, the National League, and the Premier League, and Championship. You know, unbelievable, because they was never ever going to please everybody. And you can see now from the First Division situation that we're in a time where, you know, people can take legal action against, you know, against decisions that they think are not right, that they might be able to fight in a court of law. So that'll be interesting if somebody decides not to go along with everything else and not follow the norm, you know, follow the crowd, if you like, and you know, end up it going to court.
Now, probably one of the most important decisions from the club's perspective, of course, that we did resolve recently and very, very quickly was club's retained list, as things begin to be put into place for the season ahead, wherever that will be. When you're putting a new squad together, Gary, here at Torquay United, obviously it's a long season. How do you cover for all eventualities? Because obviously we've gone past the time now where you could concentrate on just having the first 11 and a few subs to see you through. How do you get that squad together to try and cover for as many eventualities as possible?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you try and build a squad where near every one of them you would class as many as possible as a first team player. Yes, there's always room for young lads and players that you've got to develop a little bit more. But most clubs will go with a smaller squad, I'm sure, this year, you know, because of the financial situations. Clubs won't go now with 25, 30 professionals, no way. So, you know, we will probably cut down ourselves, but we've got to make sure that you've got enough in the squad that you've got to have 4 or 5 players that are utility players probably that can fill in. You've got to leave yourself a couple of loans, room for a couple of loans for a rainy day, for something that is unforeseen, and all of a sudden you haven't got a left back, or you haven't got a right wing, or you haven't got a striker, and you've got to go and find one. So, you know, there's ways that you can bring in players when you need them through the loans, but you've got to have that squad of players, and you've probably got to have them early, so you start early. That's why I was really pleased with the 12 lads that ended up signing for us, and I'm hoping to have almost our full squad by the time we get back, and that'll give me time and us time because we might not have a lot of time before the start of the new season, to get them together, to blood them into our way of thinking. The ones that have come in, they'll be helped by the 12 that are already here. So, you know, we need to hit the ground running, because you need to be up there early. You know, you can't leave it like, you know, this year, I know we was unlucky and all different things, but you can't leave it that you've got to win your last 8 games, or you've got to win 8 out of 10 or something. You know, you've got to be up there challenging all the way through the season. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned there about getting people to buy into the Torquay United way of doing things, your way of doing things. I guess the beauty that we were talking to Pete yesterday is that if you do have to go and get somebody in at short notice for something that, you know, is unforeseen, having something like that that's doing all the background in the, you know, checking up on all these players, and that does give you a bit of a head start, because you can't expect somebody to come in for a month, arrive straight at the club and suddenly be on the same wavelength as everybody else.
No, you can't, but sometimes needs must, and all of a sudden, you know, you've got, like this season, we had so many injuries at one point that we just had we could only bring in people that were available, because all the ones we would have got at the start of the season were all at clubs or already playing. You know what I mean? You only generally get the young lad who's probably inexperienced, or you get someone who's not in their team for whatever reason, you know, in the team that they're loaned from. So it's we do have lists of names, and those names change, you know, sometimes by the week, sometimes by the month, but we're forever renewing our list, and that's where, you know, Pete comes in, and you know, I saw the interview, and it was very good. It did explain exactly what Pete does, and it's vital for me to have somebody like Pete out there doing the job that he does. In fact, you know, it'd be great for you to interview all our staff, because people probably don't exactly know what Louis Birkinshaw does at our club, what Kai Hepworth does at our club, what Russell Cleave does at our club. You know, you've had our goalkeeper coach, Phil, on the Zoom. So, you know, he knows what he's doing. So we've got a very, very good staff, if you like, and it'd be good if you interview the others as well, because we've got it right. We've got it right as far as that's concerned, and they're good workers, and they'll give 100%, and they are Torquay-ified.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of fine work going on behind the scenes. Not all of it obviously gets maybe the coverage it always deserves, so I will certainly do my best to put that right. Now,
I forgot, just before you go on, I forgot my old mate whose birthday it is today, Downsy. You know, he's I said to him today in a text, I said that his age is now catching up with his looks.
How did he take that?
It went down all right, I think. I'm his governor, so you know, he's happy to hold his hands up and put a little smiley face back. But he does a great job as well, fantastic job, and I'm really pleased to have him alongside me.
Yeah, well, we're all absolutely delighted that he's back at Plainmoor, and happy birthday, Aaron, if you're watching. Do you feel that you need a different type of squad to win the National League than you would any other division? Obviously, you've managed in League One, League Two, National League South. Putting the quality to one side, do you think it takes a different type of squad to win the National League? Is it a different type of division to any others, or?
I don't think so. I think you have to pick. You have to, in the National League, the competition we're in, you have to pick players as if you're going to win the second division. So therefore, you're trying to find players that have got that potential in them, or the group that's got the potential in them to win the next league up. That's what how we try and think. You know, would he win us the second division? And over the years, it's worked well for us. I say us, like obviously work with Downsy, work with Pete. So when I say us, it's Downsy and Pete. It's worked for us where we've on occasions had 2 promotions pretty quick, but you know, either back to back or another year, a season in between or whatever. And then you just keep developing your team depending on how high you go. Now, obviously with Yeovil, we went from the National League right through to the Championship, and so of course our lists were changing by the minute as we became more successful. And unfortunately, we didn't have a big enough budget to stay in the Championship for too long. We had some great games, but we ended up coming out of the Championship. But great experience for our football club, and great experience for some of the lads that have gone all the way through.
So it's almost as if you're thinking like a League Two club already. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just us thinking like that in this division. You've obviously got your big clubs that are thinking like that. Not easy to win a league. You have to get everything going in your favour, but you've got to have the quality, of course. And the players have got to believe that, and the belief comes when you start winning games. They've got to have the belief that they can compete, not just at this level, but levels higher. And that's what we have to brainwash them into thinking. And then, without being complacent, we don't want them playing in our league thinking, well, I'm a first division player. I don't need to try hard, because that's not the player we want. We want the player that's willing to work hard to get there and get this football club, whatever football club, to the next levels. So that's how we talk to them. We're always looking, as I've said before about the other situation, you've got to keep looking forward, and you've got to look upwards, and you've got to believe in what you're doing. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get anywhere. So I think we believe in what we're doing, and hopefully we can get another promotion as soon as possible.
Well, I think we're all looking forward to that. Well, I think that rounds things up for another week, Gary. So we'll part as we always do by wishing everybody to take care, keep safe, and that we'll see you all again soon.